Hello and welcome to Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki and I'm with
Precious Chukudi.
and of course this is today in the news, and many of you agree with me that this weekend that passed, many churches actually did a carol night and some their average Thanksgiving, and it was lit almost everywhere. How was it in your own church?
I didn't attend, so but then the point is that I noticed this last weekend was quite busy.
Yeah, very busy.
We had a lot of people who were moving around, and I still ask myself, they say there's no money in Lagos. Where are these people coming from? People are still traveling. I mean, the other time when I was talking to, I was telling you that they said, flight tickets have all been booked out.
Yeah,
so if you want to travel and you've not even booked your ticket, sorry for you. And I think that one too also has to do with the rate of insecurity, in the country. The fact that people are afraid to travel by road, but still, when you come down to, you still go by road too. It's still one of all those things.
No, but it will just limit the distance will not be as far as you're traveling with through the road, and I'm sure you'll be able to boycott some of the roads that are really scary for people to pass. But away from that, let's just start reviewing the front pages of the papers, and we'll start with the front page of Vanguard. And here on the front page we have 5 soldiers killed, 35 civilians abducted in 2 ISWAP attacks. Fresh bandits attempt to kidnap another set of Castina student foiled. We've rescued 80 students, 4 others, and that's coming from the police. 4 killed in southern Kaduna reprisal attack as more troops are deployed to flashpoints. High rate of kidnapping in Nigeria worrisome. That's coming from Archbishop Kaigama. You can see that story on page 5. And here still we have concerns 6 companies dominate Nigeria's stock markets. Also on page 24 and 25, NIN, telecom workers reject federal government's 2-week deadline. Says it's impossible to link 170 million subscribers lines with NIN in 2 weeks. Unjustifiable, unnecessary, stop it. Unjustifiable, unnecessary, stop it. Serap tells Buhari. Lawyers drag the federal government, NCC, to court over NIN registration deadlines. Seems a NIN directive, time to rescue telecoms industry. And analysis, you can see that stories on page 24 and 25. Also on page 13, we have 2023. Ikue and Wodo and others begin moves to actualize an Igbo presidency. Kankara incident must not reoccur. That's NUT Naptan 1. You can see that story on page 8. On page 6, we have a drug policeman kills father of 3 in Rivers. That's a sad one. Now on the stories above the nameplates, Vanguard win the 2 awards at NMMA. You can see that on page 8. On page 9, NJC sacks 2 judges, recommends appointment of 69 others. Also, here on page 8, why Buhari reopened land borders. That's coming from a presidential source. Lastly, on the front page of Vanguard, on page 11, we have COVID-19. Lagos government dismisses a plan to lock down state again. Seals Cubana nightclub, others for flouting guidelines. NCDC insists travelers must obey protocol. And that's all on front page of Vanguard. And from there, we move straight to the Punch newspaper.
And on the Punch newspaper, we have the main story says the state plans tough enforcement as new COVID-19 cases surge. The rider says Lagos says it can't afford fresh lockdown. Begins 20,000 naira fine enforcement today. 15 management staff undergo COVID-19 test today as NIPSS Director General dies. Niger lawmakers isolate as Speaker Clerk tests positive. Ogun promises stringent protocols. You can see that story on page 5. And stories above Kankara schoolboys rescue. Presidency aligns with army contradicts Masari. You can see that on page 11. And on page 21, CBN revokes 42 microfinance banks operating licenses. And on page 39, federal government records a 1.29 trillion naira fiscal deficit in 3 months. Also on page 32, food prices rising, household incomes precarious, NBS. And lastly on the front page of the Punch newspaper, We have 2 arrested for gang raping, filming Ogun 19-year-old girl. You can see that story on page 4. Away from the punch, go straight to the Nation.
And down the front page of the Nation newspaper, we have a state take tough stands amid COVID-19 spike. 2,875 tests positive in 72 hours. Second wave more deadly. That's coming from Nigeria Medical Association at day 1. You can see that story on the front page, and it continues on page 5. And moving on to other stories, why Buhari are accepted to reopen borders, need to save private sector and respect agreements. That one you can see it on page 5. Also on page 6, telecom firms unveil short codes to link NIN. NJC asks Oyetola to sack Osun George, proposes hiring of 69. You can see that on page 8. 42 microfinance bank lose license, CBN uses a big stick. You can see that story, it's still on page 8. And lastly, on the front page of the Nation, we have a Nigerian stock make 1.3 trillion naira gain. That you can find out on the business page on page 17 to 24. And that's all we have on the front pages of the paper. So we're going on a short break, and when we come back, our guest will be joining us to analyze some of the stories. Stay with us.
Face total shutdown nationwide. See page 5.
She overwhelmed by security challenges.
Hello and welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard. Here on Today in the News, we
read and give in-depth analysis on some of the stories on the front pages of the paper.
Also take your insightful comments of what's going on here in Nigeria and across the world. Join us Mondays through to Friday
on Vanguard Live. Alright, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Today in the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Tamlola Ogunshaki, and I'm with my co-host
Precious Chukwudi.
And this is the analysis segment where Mr. Aliu Mohammed, CEO of Magnet Communications, of course, is joining us to analyze these front stories. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. But it seems like every morning now, what we see on the front page is all about killing, abduction, and many other things. And just going back to some of the bandit activities. October 23rd, it was reported that armed bandits killed no fewer than 14 persons. October 21, it was reported that government stormed the village in Tamfara, killing 20 people. Even November 20, armed bandits ambushed troops and security operatives patrolling at Ruga Bolo Junction. November 23rd, armed bandits along the Kaduna-Abuja road killed 2 men and injured some others. Even on November 21, gunmen killed 5 worshippers and kidnapped 18 in an attack on a mosque in Zamfara. November 20, among the personal carriers, APC of the police was riddled with bullets by bandits that invaded 3 villages. Also on December 2nd, armed bandits, November 1st rather, armed bandits on Monday hit a local market in a local government area of Niger State, killing no fewer than 4 people. And December 13, Kankara in Katsina State, some students also were killed too when they, tried to escape from the hideout. And we can still not forget that of, the boys that were kidnapped. And now 5 soldiers also have been killed, 35 civilians abducted in 2 ISWAP attacks. And that's just like I think barely 48 hours after the Kankara boys were released. Now it seems like this is now becoming a trend in Nigeria. Kidnapping, killings, and if you look at it, it's now like a form of business, collecting ransom and some other things. Now this whole situation yourself, what do you have to say about the security things? Because it seems Nigerians are really getting used to hearing this daily.
No. It is disturbing. Nigerians cannot get used to a bad and terrible, a very scary situation that we are in. Personally, I feel disturbed. And the whole scenario is making nonsense of whatever efforts the federal government is putting into fighting these criminals. To start with, the government keep telling us that they are on top of the situation. But it is obvious that the situation is not in any way under control. Take the case of Katsina State, for instance. Just less than 24 hours after the over 300 boys were returned, or they were rescued. I don't know which one to use there now, because somebody will say that they rescued them, they negotiated and all that. We thank God the boys are back alive. There was another attack within the same Katsina when the president was still in that state. Some people in government will tell you that the attacks in Katsina State were targeted at embarrassing the president. That's what we keep getting from them. But you now move out of Katsina. Let's even assume that those attacks were meant to embarrass the president. What about the ones outside Katsina? The Zango Kataf, Kaduna killings, Abuja Kaduna road killings, and so many others. The long and short of it, like you said, is that the kidnapping now has become a kind of business, a source of livelihood to some people. I watched this interview with a small boy, just like she claimed to have watched it, that some businessmen were negotiating with kidnappers. For God's sake, we are a country, independent country, that should have access to serious gadgets, sophisticated gadgets to monitor events around our country. Up till tomorrow, nobody has been able to track the so-called helicopters that supply foods and arms and ammunition to these people. Till tomorrow, nobody is talking about it. We have the DSS, we have the army, we have the police, we have the military intelligence, we have all sorts of intelligence agencies, but nobody has been able to track the movement of flights, helicopters between Chad, Niger, and the northern part of Nigeria. You see, we have there is this Nigerian Airspace Management Agency. What are they managing if you can't track such flights? We are in a serious problem here, because human lives is sacrosanct according to God. They are not supposed to be taken. But when we get to a situation that people get killed daily, we are moving towards anarchy. And very soon, you will see these bandits going into state government houses. They've attempted to kill a state governor.
Yeah.
He has been attacked, I think, 2 or 3 times. So if they have gone to that level, we should be prepared for a situation where they will mobilize and go into a state house and attempt to kill a state governor in the north. I pray that wouldn't happen.
Okay, you talked about some things that they should have done, like taking care of the airspace and some other things. Now, does this shows that it's like we're not ready to tackle these people, or it's taking it away from not having enough ammunition or all that? It doesn't mean that the Nigerian government or the Nigerian military men are not ready to tackle these people by getting help from the international committee and also doing some necessary things that they're supposed to do.
You see, the thing is that from my own personal observation and investigation, the Nigerian army have some fifth columnists. They strategize, they plan attacks, and before they attack, the Boko Haram boys already know what they want to do, and there is a counter attack. At the end of the day, such attacks will be done by the Boko Haram boys and not the Nigerian army. They've killed so many soldiers like that. If you have that kind of situation, in the military. I think the tactical command of the military should be careful the way they expose whatever plans they have against these guys, because don't forget that they are being backed by some countries. They are being supported in terms of provision of money, provision of arms and ammunition, and those countries also we always give them information about troops movement in Nigeria, apart from those who are in the army, that also gives information to the bandits. So we must sit down and rise above this situation. How do you do that? We have countries that can send drones out, monitor the movement of the drones and gather information. Let me cite the rescue of the American that was done in Nigeria recently. The Americans didn't just come to Nigeria to tell us that they want to rescue their citizens. They did some intelligence gathering from the US. They got information about the actual location of the bandits and the guy that was kidnapped. They had communications with the bandits, attempted to negotiate with them on phone. It was this communication that they used to track these people. And when they took off, with the aid of Nigerian soldiers and the Department of State Security Services, they went straight to the location. If you did not have enough intelligence reports about the actual, there is no how you will be precise in getting to that location. So this is where intelligence gathering is important. It's just like pouring water on the back of what do you call it now? If you want to go and attack a ragtag army, in quotes, because I see those boys as a set of bandits who are not trained militarily, except guerrilla warfare. But the kind of training that our soldiers have in both normal warfare and guerrilla should put them on top of this situation. But what we have is a set of boys, one that are disgruntled. Some of them will tell you that their salaries and allowances are not being paid regularly. Then secondly, I think those in charge of the military have turned this war against terrorism into a source of livelihood. They are making money from it, and they don't want it to end. I might just be wrong, but that is the feeling that I have, because every year there are several billions of naira voted to fight these things, and it's been on like that for over 10 years. So when are we going to be on top of this situation?
Okay, let's talk about some of the solutions that they are bringing. It was disclosed that Senate is working on decentralizing security apparatus to stem the tide of insecurity in the country. Now, decentralizing security architecture. Now, do you think it can the country can be adequately secured?
I don't think so. You see, even the sections of the police, like the RRS, controlled by the Lagos state government, we still see some funny behaviors among some elements. Our politicians are not mature, in quotes, to run a decentralized security system. They will use that system against their opponents. In fact, we will have more killings. If you decentralize the security system, we will have more killings, political killings. If somebody offends somebody and he knows that he has some links with the security apparatus in that state, they can use that against that person. So we have to be careful in decentralizing the security. What's the issue here is about commitment, discipline in the fight against these bandits. if we are committed to the fight against the bandits, while the president may be committed, he is not the one that will go to the war front. He is not the one that will dispense the budget for defense. So we have to be committed. We have to have the interest of this country at heart, not personal gains, not personal interest. If you put personal interest above national interest, we will remain where we are today.
All right, let's just talk about another issue that has been in the minds of Nigerians. And as of last week, there was a report on the front page of the paper that was saying that the federal government has issued 2 weeks deadline to telecommunication operators to block subscribers' line that failed to link them up with the national identification number, that's NIN. So what do you think about this situation?
Well, it is obvious that a lot of people don't even have the national identification number. So many people don't have it. I registered for NIN about 5 years ago. Up till now, I don't have a card, but I have my national identity number, which is the most important thing about that registration. You quote that number and you are good to go anywhere. But the delay in issuing the cards is also disturbing. Since last Friday, there has been a large crowd at the registration center around Alausa. It shows that the 2 weeks deadline may not work. I think we shouldn't approach important things like that in a hurried manner. If you want people to link their NIN with their phones, it's not what can be done within 2 weeks. We are over 200 million. And from the records, just less than 40 what million?
43
over 43 million have done the NIN. That means we still have a long way to go, and you can't achieve that in 2 weeks, except they just want to stop some people from having access to telephone facilities here. So the government should extend the 2 weeks and give time. It's something that can be done. Well, they said they are trying to target bandits and those who shouldn't have access to telephone lines, or who are using them to oppress the people, to do criminal activities, 419, those are the targets. But you see, like I said earlier, you can gather information. There is this NIN card. You have the National Road Safety Commission driver's license thing. You have to do your registration and thumb printing and so many things.
Yes.
Then if you want to have access to an international passport, you do some thumb printing and all that. Why can't we harmonize all this and have all the records, and then let those who have no record of either passport, driver's license or NIN, send a message to them, so that you separate the wheat from the chaff. Those who have done it, you will know. Abroad, this thing is done once you thumb print, they will link it to your bank account and so many other things you want to do. And if you commit crime too, once you have it, they access your details and get you arrested. But we have not harmonized this process here. That's why we keep having problems. Even if you link NIN with telephone lines, these boys still have a way of blocking the phones in such a way that you will even know the person that is calling. You may not have access to their lines. So the government, like I keep saying, must be on top of whatever security measure they want to take to check criminality in Nigeria. We are not on top of it at all.
All right. According to what you just mentioned, we have just like 43 million persons in the country in the last 7 years that have gotten their NIN. And 2 weeks is really a short time.
It's short.
Like, I am also a living witness, if I can say that. My experience with getting my NIN has not been very palatable. Like I said, me trying to get it across, there have been situations where they've told me to pay for fuel because they cannot, they don't have fuel to, power their gens in these local government areas. Also, they've also been to situations where they tell me that, okay, before you want to, you have to pay money. And these are also like the experiences of some other Nigerians too. And in 2 weeks' time, for the government to be saying that they're going to block the SIM cards of Nigerians who would not get their NIN number linked and all of that, don't you think it's a violation of human rights? And
I just said it, that if they insist on 2 weeks, they will deny a lot of people access to telephone facilities. You see, one problem we have in Nigeria is that people keep blaming whoever is the head of state or president for all the problems that we have in the country. But what the problem we create for ourselves at every levels of our lives is so much that you almost want to absorb the president from all these crises. Now, look at somebody who is working in a place where you can get your name, is talking about petrol in a government office. It talks about the selfishness of our people. People are greedy, they don't think about the interest of the country. All they are after is their personal interest. They want money, no matter how illegal such payment is. They want it to be able to do what they ought to normally do as their duty. It is sad. It is the height of corruption, and I will not support that. Payment to do national identity card is nonsense. It is stupid. You see, we must rise above all these petty ways of behavior. You want petrol. Government must have provided petrol for the services that you are rendering. So if you take 1,000 naira from everybody that has come to register, and you have 5,000 people that have come to register, how much will that amount to? It is greed. So we must rise above it individually, because Buhari is in Abuja. The man is not in all government offices. He cannot be present there. He cannot, yes, he's claiming to be fighting in discipline. He cannot check all the people in all government offices in every part of the country. We as a people must decide to rise above corruption and greed. Very, very important.
Okay, let's talk about the border that was opening, that was just recently opened. Now, closing the border and reopening it. Now, did you think closing the border actually achieved its main purpose of this thing?
Government said it was closing the border to check banditry and smuggling. We still have smuggling, we still have banditry around us. You can come to your own conclusion.
Okay, let's talk about what the president was recently said. He said the president ordered for the immediate reopening of 4 borders upon realizing Nigerians and the private sectors were bearing the brunt of the closure of the borders now. Yes. Now, just talking about it, that he just ordered for the immediate reopening, then he realized it was affecting private sectors. Now, it's been a long time that Nigerians have been complaining. Foodstuffs, many things increased, daily the borders were closed. Now, just realizing this, does it mean that the president was not informed about what was going on in the country?
You see, there was something that happened the day that announcement was made in the other parts of or within our neighboring countries. People were jubilating because across the borders you see people selling petrol, Nigerian stolen petrol, in jerry cans. They make millions every day from that. So when the border was shut down, that business died a natural death. Then too, those who make money from those who are traveling through the border and in buses, they charge each passenger some amount of money if you don't have an international passport. That also died a natural death, but it will come back. But talking seriously about the real businesses that have been affected by the border closure, we have these serious businessmen who go abroad, who rely on the borders to get some of the things they sell raw materials and all that from neighboring countries.
Yes.
So it affected them. A lot of farms were affected because there are some farm implements that you got from that you must get from the neighboring countries. So it has really affected farmers here in the down south. That is one effect of it. Then if you look at the trade fair that took place recently, the entire TBS was half filled because traders from neighboring countries that usually flood such trade fairs, they couldn't come in and they couldn't afford to come by air and send their goods through the sea. By the time the goods get cleared, the fair would have ended. You know the trouble in clearing goods here. So they just stayed put in their countries. Niger Republic, Benin Republic, Ghana, none of them were represented at the fair. And so looking at that, yes, it is a very bad thing for such countries not to be represented here. But by and large, I think the government didn't have to lock the borders if we have effective custom and immigration patrol. That's another game.
That was another question I wanted to ask you now, because
if you have effective security system on ground at the borders, you don't have to shut them.
Now that's one of the worries of Nigerians now, that the borders have been opened and it's like our custom and these people, they are not those that they can really rely on. Because take for example, saying that rice and some of the poultry products are still on ban, and now Nigerians are saying this is not the first time that they are saying it has been on ban. It has always been on ban,
yes,
but it has always been imported into the country and the custom officials are there. Now the borders have been opened now. Some of the fake checkpoints, now how will they be able to ensure that these places are secured even with the opening of the borders?
Let me tell you a story. There was a day I wanted to travel to Republic of Benin. I took my car to the border and parked. There is a car park there at Idiroko where you can park your car and go in. I had my passport, I had everything. And somebody said, no, don't pass through the customs or the immigrations, they will delay you. They wanted to take me through a back road. And I said, look, I have my passport. I want to go through the normal route. So I discovered that within Idiroko, there are more than 15 routes apart from the normal route, the custom manned routes that you are supposed to pass through. 15 other routes leads you to Republic of Benin, not manned by the immigration people and the customs. So you still see imported things coming in through those routes. The normal route was the one that was closed. People were still coming in with rice, imported alcohol, tomato puree, and so many other things. But again, if you sit down and investigate why you had that kind of situation, it is greed. Because in some of the vehicles conveying these things, you will find nobody else but custom officers escorting them. Either custom officers, policemen, or soldiers. So we have to rethink about whether we are committed to Nigeria or to ourselves as a people.
All right, let's talk more on COVID-19, and we're moving into the second wave of the COVID. In fact, we're there already, and we see the number of cases every day increasing by the numbers, so even more than how it was in the first wave of COVID-19. And on the weekend, we saw how a popular nightclub here in Lagos was shut down.
Banner.
Yes, even with the fact that the governor had read his riot act of what we're supposed to do right now. No carnivals, like the people on social media will say there will be no dirty December, this time around. And my question is, Nigerians are going about their daily activities like nothing is going on, and with the reports we're hearing, this second wave of COVID-19 is even more worrisome than the first one. And what do you make of this?
Let me take you back to the first lockdown. The effects of the first lockdown are still here with us, economically, socially. You understand what I'm saying? Some companies are just trying to come out of the harsh effects of the first lockdown. And then we also have the situation where people have thrown cautions to the wind and move around as if nothing happened. People no longer wear their face mask. We've been attending parties without any checks about whether we could run into contact with anybody with COVID-19. We have this feeling that it is not as serious as it is abroad, here in Nigeria. But we are joking. As at this morning, I expect that the federal government would have announced the closure of flights from the UK, because the UK has locked down, with the exception of central London, because they are also trying to be careful about their economy. They don't want to compound the state of their economy because of this second wave, which is deadlier than the first one. There is the need for us as citizens to be careful and then ensure that we protect ourselves. It is very important. The second wave has also taken a few prominent Nigerians. This morning I read about the deaths of the DG of NIPS. If we can have it, a Major General died after attending the Chief of Staff, the Chief of Army Staff conference in Abuja. So I think we really need to be careful. Let's observe all this COVID-19 safety protocol and then put the remaining in the hands of God, because you have just one life. There is no replacement for life. So let us try and protect ourselves. Exercise restraints in moving around. If you don't have any reason to go out, for God's sake, stay in your house. You don't have to. I know people that are planning parties, and I told one of them, I said, look, be careful, because once it happens, some hospitals now take as much as 5 million down payment to treat COVID patients. So how many Nigerians have 5 million? So if we are not careful, once the thing comes and you don't have the appropriate funds to tackle it, it becomes a death sentence.
Okay, so do you think that the government is testing people enough for COVID-19? Because according to a report that I saw
government cannot force tests on people. It is the people that should go for tests. What you are talking about, government not testing people enough? No. If it is you, I have done that test twice. The first time during the lockdown, then after the lockdown. If you feel funny, there are centers where you can be tested free. The government cannot, just like the government cannot force you to use your face mask. And that is why they are now saying, look, there is going to be a mobile court from today. Once you get arrested, you are fined 20,000. If you can't pay, you go to the prison. No, that's the only thing the government can do. They cannot come to your house and say, come and go and do a test. No. They won't force you. But if you feel funny within you, maybe you have a fever that has refused to go, please go and do a test. It puts you in a safer situation. It puts your mind to rest. So don't think that government will say, come, Precious, come and go. No. Do, if you feel that you have done something that could give you that infection, please go and do a test. But if you wait for government to tell you to go and do a test, you are joking. So that is the truth.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ali Mohammed. And I think we're not the only ones saying thank you, because we have some of our viewers. That's like Mr. Mus Babu Sani Hado. He says, thanks, Mr. Mohammed. So thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
joining us. And he is the CEO of Magnet Communication, former editor of Concord newspaper and Daily Times. Yeah, of course, he has analyzed these stories and really, explained some of these things to us in details. So, of course, to get more of our stories, you can always visit our website, and that's www.vanguardnj.com, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on our social media platforms that are showing on your screen. And we here, we are thanking you for using your data, to watch us and also follow us on more of our stories. I'm Damlola Ogushaki, and I've been with my co-host
Precious Chukudi.
Have a lovely day, and don't forget to always tune in as we have more programs coming up.
Ports face total shutdown nationwide. See page 5.
She overwhelmed by security challenges.
Hello and welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard. Here on Today in the News, we
read and give in-depth analysis on some of the stories on the front pages of the paper.
Also take your insightful comments on what's going on here in Nigeria and across the world. Join us Mondays through to Friday
on Vanguard Live.